Hi, this is Mike, and before we get started, I wanted to let you know that today's episode does have a song with explicit lyrics. And I've marked this episode for the first time explicit in our podcast hosting platform. And since I don't know if you may have young ears around when you're listening, I wanted to let you know before we get going. On with the show. Hey, this is Mike McCready, co-founder and CEO of Music X-Ray, and this is episode 34 of the Hookblast podcast. This is the 10-minute podcast where we discover catchy songs. You add the ones you love to your own streaming playlists. You rock out all week, and we do it all over again the following week. My team and I use Music X-Ray to identify high-potential songs and talent using a combination of music analysis software, machine learning, and the crowdsourcing of industry professionals and fans. If you'd like to submit a song for consideration on this podcast, or if you know a musician or band who you think should, there's a link in the show notes where you can do that. Or just visit hookblast.com and you'll find the links there too. Okay, let's jump into today's hooks. First up is Something Good. And this song has something in common with the first song in last week's episode because this one was also co-written by Gail Varillas. This is artist Jovi Rockwell with Something Good.
We all wanna feel something good. We all just wanna feel good. We all wanna feel something real. We all just wanna be real. When heart is broken, when about to open, everybody's looking for love. Lots of pretty faces, fancy places, cameras flashing, but that's not deep enough. I cry every night for a sign from above. Let me know if you're out there, give me love. I cry in the night for a sign from above. I cry every night for love. We all wanna feel something good. We all just wanna feel good.
That's Something Good, and it's performed by Jovi Rockwell. Gail Varillas' co-writer on this song is none other than Tommy Farragher. He's a two-time Grammy Award-nominated ASCAP Pop Award-winning producer, composer, songwriter, arranger, and musician. He has over 4 decades of experience in the music industry with an extensive discography that includes top Billboard charting singles and albums, producing leading artists such as Al Green, Kelly Clarkson, B.B. King, Josh Groban, and Celine Dion. He also had a big role in producing the music in Fox's musical series Glee. Next up, we have Shades of Red by Daniella Vega.
Every day, every time, running through my mind, thinking, should I never let you in, but I never really had a choice, 'cause every time I walk away, you keep following with your voice, so much for forgive and forget, now my heart is filled with regret.
Shades of Red by Daniella Vega. And here comes another catchy one. Well, because that's the only kind we play here. This is Just How It Goes by Soul and Seam, featuring Ace Metaphor and Rook Nas.
So it must be. But keep this woman, O King of Kings, beneath thy almighty wings. O God, the spirit of all our joys, cause of our delights, glory of our darkest nights, and the comfort at times like these.
Dirty streets of found in any town you go to. Fuckery abound with any clown you close to. Niggas stack chips to get whips, get postal. Go anywhere, not here, maybe somewhere coastal. The requests outside of their design and they die. Let me share a story through rhyme, check it. A little nigga with an eye for shiny dimes grew up too fast back in 99. Cash ruled everything around him, they clowned him, but he was the king of thieves, the underworld crowned him. Climbing in your window, snatching your jewels up. Addicted to the rush, he got worse as he grew up. He blew up, he was somewhat of a legend. Took everything he wanted, yo, his skills were a blessing. Until he crossed the wrong man, his gift was a curse. Chasing money the wrong way, put him in the hearse.
Now, Soul Unseen's music is boom bap centric. He says he's not expecting widespread acceptance. He's just looking for fans who appreciate old school beats and storytelling rhymes.
And everybody got it.
That song is written by C. Bell, J. Carter, K. Medford III, and is published by Genesis Music and Publishing. That's BMI affiliated. Remember, you can find the full versions of most of the songs on this season of the podcast by searching for the Hookblast playlist Season 3 on Spotify. In fact, that's kind of the whole point of the show. I play the hooks, not the full songs. Why? Because I don't want to wear you down by playing a full song that you may not love. I blast a few lines of the hook or the chorus. Once you get it, if you love it, you can go find the songs out there in the wild, and we help you do that with the playlists we host on Spotify. And soon we'll host the same playlists on Apple Music too.
It's 'cause I've been looking for a girl like you, someone I can bring home and pick flowers to. Make all of my friends cringe at the things that I'll do to show that I'm in love with you.
Speaking of which, I've added 2 new playlists. You can search for the Hookblast playlist Catchy Country and the Hookblast playlist Catchy Pop. Now, these are on Spotify, and these playlists do not feature music you've heard on the podcast. These are playlists my team and I will regularly update with some of the catchiest pop and country tracks that are currently charting.
There you were, my lucky boy.
Feel free to grab songs from those playlists and add them to your own, or just subscribe to them and have a fresh, constantly updated playlist of some of the best songs that are out there right now. Next up, we have Handpicked Flowers by Matthew Reed. He says he wrote this song as an acoustic in 2017 in the bathroom of his Liverpool home, and it went on to peak at number 48 on the iTunes pop charts in 2019.
All of my friends cringe at the things that I'll do to show that I'm in love with you.
Matthew Reed with his song Handpicked Flowers. He says he just wanted to write a silly love song. You'd think that people would have had enough of those. But I look around and I see it isn't so. This is My Love by Perugia.
The voices in your head, you could never be.
That's My Love by the band Perugia. That's spelled Perusa. So what does it take to write a catchy song? Where does the catchy inspiration come from? I asked performer and songwriter Lance, who you've heard a couple of times on this podcast this season. Firstly, you hear him every time the podcast begins with his song Rockin' to the Dance Floor. And you've also heard Jiggy Wiggle Party.
Normally I'll sit down at the piano for about 5 or 10 minutes and I'll be going for a certain vibe. And if it doesn't hit me in 5 or 10 minutes, I don't think it's going to hit me in a couple of hours. It's usually very fast. But when I do hit on it, I kind of know when I hit on it. And then I take the lyrics from there. And then I see how it hits me the next day. And if it still hits me, I say, well, maybe I got something. If it doesn't hit me, I start again. But that's usually the way it goes.
And while we can do research to find the elements of songs that make them catchy, it's not as straightforward as it seems. Catchy can sometimes be a curse, and you have to strike a balance between predictability and innovation in your melody patterns. We'll be talking more about that in future episodes of the podcast. This is Connected by Zeeuw, also known as Hans-Peter Zeeuw.
When I look around and see those unknown faces, passing by to go to various unknown places, I imagine that we all look for the same thing. I can see we're all trying. I assume that the fact we're born to love makes us what we are. 'Cause we're connected.
All right, and that's all the time we have for today's episode 34 of the Hookblast podcast. All songs are used with permission from the rights holders. And remember, in these times we live in, we can all use some great music to get us through. So if you know someone who enjoys a good tune, or who could just use a catchy song, who could just use a pick-me-up, share this podcast with them. Hit the share button and give them a musical hug in the form of the Hookblast podcast. And I'll see you back here next week with a fresh batch of new hooks. I'll catch you there.